Tatra niratishyam sarvagnya bijam. Tatra niratishyam sarvagnya bijam. In Īśvara, the seed of all knowledge is unsurpassed. Welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about one additional quality of Īśvara in Sutra 1.25, Chapter 1 of the Yogasūtra. Thus far, we have learned that Īśvara is untouched by karma, klesha, and vipaka. Now, we are going to add another quality, and you'll see how the Yogasūtra will proceed with a certain topic, switch to a different topic, and then go to a different topic. So right now, we are looking at 3 to 4 sutras that are describing Īśvara and Īśvara's function in relation to the yogin and how the yogin strives to achieve samadhi, right? Remember, the yogin can do it alone in chapter 1. The yogin can do it alone. And as an option, the yogin can depend on Īśvara, okay? So if you haven't already subscribed, please do so by hitting the lotus icon on the bottom right of the screen. There's going to be more videos on the Yogasūtra, Sankhya, Karika, Sanskritam, etc. And I am also tutoring, right, on these subjects, on Sanskritam, on the Yogasūtra, on the Bhagavad Gita, etc. Whatever your interest is, whatever the Shastra is, just feel free to present it and we'll try to work something out. So visit the academyofindianphilosophy.com for more information. Sutra 1.25 says, Tatra niratishyam sarvagnya bijam. Tatra niratishyam sarvagnya bijam. Okay? So thus far we have learned that Īśvara is a special Purusha. Purusha Visheshaha. Okay? Īśvara is untouched by karma, klesha, and vipaka. Okay? What else can we learn about who Īśvara is? And why do we need to learn about who Īśvara is? Why do we need to know his or her qualities? What is the purpose of this? Now remember, everything is happening from the point of view of the yogin, right? The yogi or yogini. Everything is happening from their point of view. So you have to, as the practitioner or just as a person studying it, understand that, yeah, there's a lot of cosmological and all these supernatural principles and karma, etc. coming into play. But remember, it's happening from the point of view of the yogin, okay? So from the psychological point of view of the yogin, you're seeing how the yogin is interacting and utilizing Īśvara as an alambana or a mental rest, right? Or a sort of image to meditate, okay? But Īśvara is not just an alambana or a mental image in this case. Īśvara is actually a separate being in yoga, right? So let's begin. Sutra 1.25. Tatra niratishyam sarvagnya bijam. So tatra. Tatra is used in a locative manner, meaning in that. In that. It's referring to the previous sutra and specifically to Īśvara. Tatra. Atra means here, tatra means there. But it also, when used in the Yoga Sutras and commentarial literature, tatra, in that, atra, here. Okay? So, tatra, locative. So, in that, or in Īśvara, okay? In Īśvara, niratishyam. This is an adjective, so let's leave it there for now. Sarvagnya bijam, right? Bijam, start here. Tatra, in Īśvara, bijam. The seed, okay, the seed. Then you move this way, it's a compound. Bijam, gnya, gnya meaning just knowledge or knowing. The seed of knowledge or knowing, right? The seed of, we'll see potential knowledge. But the seed of knowledge or knowing, sarva, all, every, entire, right? The seed of knowledge of all. The seed of knowledge of everything. Why are we not saying knowledge of everything and just say omniscient? Why are we saying seed? It's because knowledge here is considered as a seed, where it has the potential to grow, to blossom, to flourish, right? As it is nourished and one continues to learn. So a human being has a certain potential to know something, a certain limitation, right? A normal person will have a certain limitation to know. The yogi, when they attain samadhi, when the yogin attains this final goal, the yogin can become so close to omniscience and all-knowing quality of things that are happening everywhere, past, present, future, but still has limitations, right? So we'll understand what Īśvara has. So, sarvagnya bijam, so the seed of knowledge of all. One can say knowledge of all, but we're not going to say knowledge of all. We're going to say the seed of knowledge of all, because we want to understand potential knowledge, the potential to know, as opposed to just knowledge, okay? So the seed of knowledge of all, nirati shayam, you break it down, nir ati shi, the root shi. So let's understand dhatus here, roots. Sanskritam is an inflectional language, right, where the endings change, and all the words come from roots, dhatus. It's a beautiful organization. So roots are the core fundamental parts of words, okay? So the root shi means to rest, to lie upon, to lay. Now, what does that have to do with being unsurpassed, or to surpass, or to excel, right? Roots by themselves they can have several meanings, they can have different meanings depending on the category that they're in. But the language has its variety when you start putting prefixes, upasargas, right before the root. So ati shi, all of a sudden, she turns into to rest, to lie upon, or to lay, turns into to surpass or to excel. And nir ati modifies it further. So nir ati shi, to surpass, to excel. Then you modify the grammar a bit more, nir ati shayam, unsurpassed, unexcelled, right? So pretty much Īśvara here, right, his or her potential for knowledge cannot be excelled. It's the highest, right? It's the highest limit, or highest unlimited limit. It's the highest, that's it. So a person, individual, has a certain amount. A yogi gets closer and closer and closer, but Īśvara does not have a sort of limit for knowledge, and that knowledge, the potential for knowledge, or knowledge itself, is infinite, eternal, all-knowing. So we use the word omniscience, okay? But a human being or a yogi reaches a certain amount, okay? So one can say, yes, this sutra is saying that Īśvara is omniscient. One can say that. Going deeper into it, it is true, and in the sense of what the Yogasūtra is saying, and but going deeper into it, we're trying to understand that knowledge here is a seed. Okay, it's a seed, and it has a potential to grow. Whoever has the highest amount of knowledge, that is at its highest limit, which is really unlimited here, is Īśvara. Okay? So, tatra, in that, or in Īśvara, the seed of knowledge of all is unsurpassed. Nirati shi. Okay? So, let's understand here, who is omniscient? So the Yogasūtra, in the commentary, right, we look at Vyasa and Vijnana Bhikshu. Well, they're not speaking to each other, but Vijnana Bhikshu is commentating on Vyasa, right, different time periods. And he then says, so who is omniscient then, right? Is the Buddha omniscient? Because he achieved nirvana, he achieved some goal. Is Mahavira omniscient? Are these different saints and gurus omniscient, right? So the response to that, the yogic response, the yoga school of philosophy response is no. The reason why is anyone who was not omniscient before, right, or has a certain amount of knowledge before, or was unenlightened at some point and then becomes enlightened, they were not eternally enlightened, right? They were not eternally enlightened. They were unenlightened, let's say, for one moment of their life or some time of their life, and then they went through a gradual process and worked hard and became enlightened. Īśvara was eternally omniscient, eternally enlightened. So Īśvara, in the sense of the how the yogi has to focus on Īśvara. If the yogi decides, I want to focus on Īśvara, the yogi is in that aspect, the yogi can only refer to people that are mentioned, or the gods and goddesses that are mentioned in the Vedas, right? Shruti, that which has been heard, and Smruti, that which has been remembered. The Shastra is scriptures, okay? So here, the yoga school of Indian philosophy will break in that way apart and differentiate or separate themselves from Buddhism and Jainism and say, yeah, you could focus on Buddha, Mahavira, and other gurus and saints, but they aren't Īśvara, because Īśvara was always omniscient to begin with. So we're looking at more like Shiva, Vishnu, Krishna, Durga, etc., or Shakti. We're looking at these gods and goddesses that are eternal, and not they were never born, they never died, right, in the sense of their transcendence, and also they're not victim to karma, klesha, and vipaka, right? So the Vedic gods and goddesses, they have a certain lifespan, so they are vulnerable to karma, klesha, and vipaka. Human beings are as well. So if you want to, you can focus pretty much on anything as you're meditating. We'll learn that gradually. But if you want to focus on Īśvara specifically, it has to be a transcendent God that's eternal, untouched by karma, klesha, and vipaka, and there'll be one more quality afterwards. And yeah, so that's how it's going to be. So it's important to understand that yoga is going to differentiate, separate itself from Buddhism and Jainism in this manner, at least. We can't say Buddhism is not influencing the Yogasūtra. It is a lot. There are a lot of practices and sort of belief systems and whatnot. They're very similar to Buddhism. So we're not going to categorize everything as boxes, but we're going to see that yoga is aware. The commentators are aware of Buddhism in that time period, and what's happening in that time period, and what is the resistance or acceptance of certain principles. So yeah, Vyasa and Vijnana Bhikshu make it clear here that Īśvara really doesn't have to do anything. Īśvara purposefully doesn't have to do anything, right? So Īśvara notices that there are infinite purushas that are seemingly bound in prakriti, suffering, etc., to the various cycles, right? Repetitive cycles of birth and death. So Īśvara's intent is, because of compassion or compassionately, to lift the purushas out of these cycles of birth and death and to save them. That's Īśvara's intent here, according to the Yogasūtra. So in the commentary, in Vyasa's commentary, we're looking at a particular sentence. Jnana dharma upadeshena kalpa pralaya mahapralayeshu samsarinaha purusha anudhaha ishyami iti tatha cha uktam. It is said that Īśvara says, I will lift, or I will remove these souls or purushas out of bondage through jnana and dharma, through teachings of knowledge and duty and righteousness. I will remove these purushas and souls out of this cycle of birth and death, repetitive cycles of creation and destruction. So the Yogasūtra here is identifying that Īśvara doesn't have to do anything, but Īśvara is doing this, or available to the yogin for compassion purposes, or to excel the path of yoga and achieve this, and ultimately, remove oneself from the conjunction of Purusha and Prakriti. So again, we know that Īśvara is a special Purusha that is untouched by karma, klesha, and vipaka. And Īśvara, the seed of knowledge, is unsurpassed in Īśvara. So Īśvara is omniscient in this way, while other beings are not. A normal person and a yogi, no. A yogi, even with samadhi, really knowledgeable, knows a lot of things, past, present, future, etc., but not as much as Īśvara knows. Okay? So thank you for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Please visit the academyofIndianPhilosophy.com for more information on tutoring, classes, etc., and you can email me at theacademyofIndianPhilosophy@gmail.com. Thank you.